Hello, and a very warm welcome. We're Pro Tax Accountant, and we're so glad you're joining us. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that sounds complicated but can be a huge help: beneficial loans here in the UK.
So let me just ask you, are you dreaming of finally getting that deposit together for a house? Or maybe you've got this killer business idea that just needs a little bit of cash to get off the ground. What if your employer could give you an interest-free loan to make it happen? It sounds pretty amazing, right?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to be breaking down today. Beneficial loan arrangements in the UK. This is a really powerful perk, but you've got to know the rules. So let's get right into it.
Here's our game plan. We'll start with what these loans actually are. Then, we'll talk about the super important £10,000 tax trap. After that, I'll show you exactly how the tax is calculated, give you some smart ways to save, clear up who needs to report what, and then, of course, tell you where you can get some expert help if you need it.
Okay, first things first, let's get on the same page. What in the world is a beneficial loan? You know, in simple terms, it's a loan from your employer where you're either paying zero interest or the interest you are paying is way lower than the official rate set by HMRC. It's called a benefit for a reason. You're getting a much better deal than you'd find at a bank.
And people use these for all sorts of big life moments. We see them all the time for things like scraping together a home deposit, paying for university courses, or even just consolidating some of those pesky high-interest credit card debts. Weddings, moving for a new job, they can be a real lifeline.
All right, so the loan is a fantastic perk, but, and this is a big but, here's where you really need to listen up. That's not all. This is where things can get a little tricky. Let's talk about the tax trap. £10,000. Please burn this number into your brain. This is the magic number, the line in the sand that decides whether this awesome perk is completely tax-free or if it suddenly becomes a taxable benefit. So here's how it works. As long as the total amount you owe your employer stays under 10 grand for the whole tax year, you're usually fine. It's tax-free, nothing to report. But the second that balance goes over £10,000, even for just one day, boom, it flips into a taxable benefit in kind, and HMRC needs to know about it. And here's a pro tip. This is so important. HMRC doesn't just look at one loan. They look at all of them together. They add everything up. So let's say you got a £5,000 car loan in May and then a £6,000 personal loan in October. Well, 5 plus 6 is 11. You're over the limit. It's such a common mistake, so please be careful with that. Okay, so what happens if you are over the limit? How do you figure out the tax? We're going to walk through this with the official numbers for the 2025/26 tax year. So stay with me. Getting this right can literally save you hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. All right, here's the number you need for this part. For the 2025 to 2026 tax year, HMRC's official interest rate is 3.75%. Think of this as the benchmark. It's the standard that your cheap loan is measured against.
The calculation itself actually makes a lot of sense when you break it down. First, you figure out the interest you would have paid at that official 3.75% rate. Then you just subtract whatever interest you actually paid. That difference, the money you saved, well, that's your taxable benefit, and you'll pay your normal income tax rate on that amount.
Let's make this super clear with an example. Let's talk about Alex, a freelance designer in London. Her employer gives her a £30,000 loan to help with a studio deposit, charging her just 1% interest. Okay, so at the official rate of 3.75%, the interest would have been £1,125. But Alex only paid £300, so the difference is £825. That £825 is Alex's taxable benefit in kind. Now, just because your loan is taxable doesn't mean you can't be clever about it. Let's get into the good stuff, some real, practical strategies you can use to manage your loan and keep that tax bill as low as possible.
All right, here are a few ideas. The most obvious one, try to keep the total loan under that £10,000 mark. The next best thing, if you can, pay it all off before the tax year ends on April 5th. There are also some specific exemptions out there for things like relocation loans. You could even try to negotiate a higher interest rate with your employer, a bit closer to the official one, to shrink that taxable gap. And for really complicated loans, there's something called the precise method, which can sometimes help.
Let me give you another pro tip, and honestly, if you remember one thing, make it this. That April 5th deadline, it's like your get-out-of-jail-free card. If you have a loan over 10 grand, but you pay it back in full before the tax year finishes, the taxable benefit for that year is just gone, wiped out. It is Without a doubt, the most powerful move you can make if you can swing it financially. So we know how the tax works. We've got some strategies, but who's actually responsible for all the paperwork? Well, both the employer and the employee have a role to play here. It's a pretty clear split, actually. Your employer has to do the math, report the benefit to HMRC on a form called a P11D, and they also have to pay a type of national insurance on it. Your job as the employee is to take the info from that P11D form they give you, pop it into your self-assessment tax return, and then pay the income tax that's due. And you absolutely cannot miss the deadlines. So the tax year wraps up on April 5th. Your employer has until July 6th to file that P11D. Their national insurance bill is due by July 22nd. And for you, your deadline to get your self-assessment filed and paid is January 31st of the next year. Mark those in your calendar. Whew, we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From what these loans are, all the way to the deadlines. Now let's talk about the most important part, getting help when you need it. Because you really don't have to figure this out by yourself. So be honest, how are you feeling right now? Is it all crystal clear, or is your head spinning a little bit? Hey, that's completely okay. Let's be real, tax can be complicated stuff. But the key takeaway here is that you're not on your own. Whether you're an employer thinking about offering these loans or you're an employee who's received one, our team of experts here at ProTax Accountant is ready to help you make sense of it all. If you want to make sure you're handling everything correctly and in the most tax-savvy way possible, please just reach out. You can call us or send a message on WhatsApp to 07985689912. Or, if you prefer, just drop an email to info@protaxaccountant.co.uk. We'd genuinely love to help. We really hope this has cleared things up for you. For more guides like this, breaking down complex tax topics into simple, plain English, make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for your time.